What's going on, guys? It's a new wave of sports that is sweeping the nation where we're not just accurate but spot on. This is Spot On Sports, and it is our continuation. Two more division series to go of the NFL division series. Today is the NFC South, and obviously, you know these guys. They are the best in the business. That is Jonathan Davis of Caesar's Corner, Trey Stein, as well as Darren Gray joining us, the mouth of the South himself on all things NFC South. What's going on, guys? How y'all feeling today?
Good, good.
Doing good, man. What's up?
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's get started right into it. Obviously, Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll get started with Atlanta. Trey, where can we start with them? A team who each season we look at them on paper and they're one of the best teams, one of the fastest teams, if nothing else. What do the Falcons need to do to get back into the mix of
They
the
just need to
NFC
stay.
South?
They just need to stay healthy. If their defense can stay healthy, their offense gonna score points. If they get Todd Gurley of 2 years ago, they'll be good running the ball. Just to stay healthy. I like the Atlanta Falcons' talent on paper. They got their starters are first round picks in the past few drafts. They got first round pick every spot. I mean, they got talent. They just gotta stay healthy, especially on defense, because Neil been hurt the last couple of years. So I like the talent on paper.
John, how you feel?
Yeah, I agree with Trey said. They have a lot of talent. And I think as far as the Falcons, like this is just a team that just went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And they're always really good, but injuries has gotten in the way. And then poor defensive play. They haven't been able to get a pass rush. And they've just been giving a lot of plays, giving up a lot of points on defense. And then on offense, they haven't been able to match that at least last year. But if you look at the end of the year, when they decided to keep Dan Quinn, I think they ended the year on a 4-2 or 5-1 run or something like that. So they have a lot of talent. I think they're going to be one of the teams that people don't expect to do anything right now. You know, the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady are getting all the buzz. But I honestly think that the Atlanta Falcons, especially with the new playoff format, are going to be able to squeeze into the playoffs. Like I said, they have so much talent on offense, obviously with Julio, Todd Gurley. I think he's going to be, kind of get back to a little bit to his old self with him being back in Georgia. Calvin Ridley, still Matt Ryan, former MVP. So I could see them winning 10, 11 games next year.
Darren, obviously, with the acquisition of Todd Gurley coming into their offense, this offense has been good for a really long time, always up there averaging somewhere between 25 points or greater. How long can the Falcons actually keep this offensive core intact?
Um, See, the thing about them is I don't think that they need to keep it intact as long as they can keep Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. They seem to just kind of restock. You seen they had Muhammad Sanu long ago, and they had Austin Hooper, and those were both really talented players. Muhammad Sanu started getting to the end of his mileage. They shipped him over to New England, and now you see Calvin Ridley. They drafted him, and it's like they should continue to retweak the college program. How college they just recruit. Yeah, you got your star players. They go out, but then you get some more players to do with their offense. They are always good. And then I mentioned Austin Hooper. He went out to Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
and now they have Hayden Hurst, somebody who they feel has a lot of potential. Now, my thing about Todd Gurley, which scares me, is because there are some people who would say Gurley was not that bad last year. He just wasn't utilized enough. To that, I would say, excuse me, to that, I would say Dirk Cutter doesn't like to run the ball, even when they have had good running backs. He just does not run the ball. So Todd Gurley kind of scares me. Will they utilize the right way in the run game? What will we get out of Atlanta in total? I'm just not sure. They're the biggest question mark in this division, in my opinion.
Uh, John, a question for you. When it pertains to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we're moving on to them now. A lot of hype concerning Tom Brady, a lot of hype concerning Rob Gronkowski. If we can start anywhere on the table with this, is it hype, or are we going to come into a year where it's, well, no one should have expected this much out of Tom Brady, at least in the first year?
Yeah, well, we're gonna know week one when they play the Saints, right? That's a hell of a test. But I would say if you're looking to see if it's hype or if it's real, I would say it's real. I mean, Rob Gronkowski, in my opinion, this is a conversation for a later date, is the best tight end of all time. And you got Tom Brady, who most people think is the GOAT. And if you look last year, he still made a lot of plays, threw for 4,000 yards. I know people say that he's on the decline, but he's still Tom Brady, and he's still a top 10 quarterback in the league. So, if you look at that defense last year, that team was 7-9, and Jameis Winston himself turned the ball over 30 to 40 times. So I think he had 30 interceptions and almost 10 fumbles. So that's 40 turnovers right there, and the team was still 7-9. Their defense is really good. They got a lot of talent with Shaquille Barrett. You got Devin White at linebacker. So they're really good. And of course, on offense, Mike Evans, who is one of the least talked about receivers in the league, for him to be as good as he is. Chris Godwin broke out last year. The tight end core, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, OJ Howard. The running back situation is a little questionable, but you can never bet against Tom Brady.
I guess the obvious would be next question, Trey. Do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make the playoffs?
No, I'm not a believer in Brady.
Somebody give me some spice in this show. I like
Brady washed, dog. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what John say. I don't care what Derek say. That man washed. Y'all putting y'all faith in Rob Gronkowski. He was just wrestling 3 months ago for the 24/7 belt. I watch wrestling, so I know. Man, everybody try to blame my boy Jameis Winston because he throw picks. Every first-year quarterback in Bruce Arians' system, go back to Andrew Luck, to Peyton Manning, to Jameis Winston. All the interception went up the first year. And the second year, they went down. Bruce Arians loves to stretch the ball down the field. Can Tom Brady stretch the ball down the field? Throwing for 4,000 yards in today's football is not nothing special. Everybody threw for 4,000 yards. John said before we recorded that Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards, and they went 79. Passing stats are easy to get. I just think Tom Brady's washed. He in the hard NFC East. He's not in the AFC East no more. So I don't know, man. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs.
No. I like that. I like that because one, I think they'll barely get in, maybe as a wild card. Obviously, they extended the playoffs by like a seed, so they can 7 seed or whatever you want to call it. But I don't like the dynamic that everyone's already putting the team over the top as soon as they acquire a 43-year-old quarterback and a retired tight end. So I love that. So appreciate bringing that to everybody's attention. Obviously, let's go to the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton's out. Teddy Bridgewater is in. Darren.
Hey, Tony, hold on, man. Yep. I was gonna let you just skip, but I got about these Buccaneers. All right.
Go ahead.
First, my good friend Trey. I heard what you were saying off camera. All right, man. I'm gonna need you to relax on time a tad bit, okay? Because here's my thing. I think that Tom Brady is extremely smart. At Jameis Winston, you can say what about his LASIK and his sight now, but last year he was not a smart quarterback, and that was the disadvantage.
30 interceptions is unacceptable. I just want everybody to know that.
Yes,
go ahead.
He did over 5,000 yards, but just talking about those yards is the same thing when Jameis says historically I'm one of the greatest quarterbacks. Yeah, when I look at the fact that you threw for 5,000 yards, you are great, but I cannot not speak about these 30 interceptions. Now, that being said,
hold on, I got a question.
What's going on?
Is Peyton Manning a smart quarterback?
He didn't throw 30 interceptions.
He threw like 25 interceptions the first year with Bruce Arians.
I would like to talk about that. Cool.
All the quarterbacks picked for Bruce Arians their first year in the system. Right.
But here's the difference and the distinguish that needs to be made, Trey, is that Bruce Arians is the one commonality in this whole situation, correct?
Yes.
Bruce Arians himself said what was so frustrating about Jameis was the fact that he didn't get it. So he stats and put a bunch of stats on the board, but it's about when you're looking at these stats. And the coach who is a part of all these guys said that, yeah, it's a difficult system to grab the first year, but these other guys got it. He said Jameis didn't get the system. So I understand what you're saying about all these interceptions, and I do agree that that's not talked about enough. But the coach himself said that Jameis wasn't getting it. But I would like to move this conversation a little bit that I feel like was not pressed is the defense. I know about Tom Brady. I know about Mike Evans. That was a great point by Jonathan. I think that Mike Evans is the best not talked about receiver in the league. I've seen people put Chris Godwin above him now because he had a breakout season, but Mike Evans has been doing this, never had a season less than 1,000 yards ever. So, but let's move into the defense. That's where I think the biggest question mark is going to be is in that secondary. It's a bunch of young guys, it's a bunch of second-year guys. Are they going to be able to progress enough to where now we still be formidable? We've seen Shaq Barry. We know they got Ndamukong Suh. We know they got Vita Bay. I think that Levante David and Devin White are great. They call themselves the best linebacker duo in the league, and I might do a little bit of digging, but as of right now, I don't see many rivals. You might be able to find one if you look, but they're really good. Is that secondary?
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
What you said?
No, I said Tony wanted to say the Cowboys.
No, I wasn't. I thought somebody else was gonna say the Cowboys.
The only reason I'm not gonna say the Cowboys is because I don't know what I'm gonna get out of Leighton Vander as far as health, and I don't know if Smith is gonna return to his status from 2 years ago. It's some question marks right there, but I do think they are a rival. I will give you that they are a rival, but is that's my big thing? Is the secondary?
Another thing on Tampa Bay, it's different when you playing and nobody paying attention to you. Now you got Tom Brady, everybody gonna be paying attention to you. So you're gonna get everybody best shot. You went 7-9 last year when you getting probably people mid games, but you gotta get everybody best shot. Drew Brees probably tired of hearing about Tom Brady. Matt Ryan probably tired of hearing about Tom Brady. And Teddy Bridgewater probably tired of hearing about Tom Brady. So they're gonna give them their best shot.
I think they're ready for it. I think I have confidence in their receiving core. The parts where I feel they're weak are their offensive line, which is going to be really tough because one thing James don't get credit for is the fact that he can move. Tom Brady, we know he can't. All right, Tom Brady played with concrete cleats. He ain't moving nowhere. We're going to look at the running game. I don't know what they're going to be for them. And if we look at the secondary, like I just pictured, if we can see by week 5, because no training camp, new team altogether, give them some time to gel. Week 5, if they got it, they're going to be a very scary team, like extremely scary team.
And I like the questions, obviously, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I didn't want to miss on their defense and, what those guys will need to do. There's a lot of questions that have to be answered with them, especially with the offseason coming, not the offseason, but with training camp hopefully coming around in with the start of the season. But guys, I do want to take it to the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, they signed Teddy Bridgewater to a $63 million deal in a division full of Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and even Tom Brady. Now, where does Bridgewater, Darren? I'll let you take this question away. Where does Bridgewater stack up in this
division? That's ironic because I actually talked about him and DJ Moore when I was comparing on my podcast. I was looking at them, and I think they're both really good players. But unfortunately, as far as positional rankings, they come in last in this division, in my opinion. That doesn't make them bad. It's just I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is better than any of the quarterbacks, and I don't think DJ Moore is better than any of the starting receivers for these other guys' team. So it's difficult, but I think they're good players, just maybe not ranking high.
John, how about it?
Yeah, as far as the Panthers, I think when you look at Teddy Bridgewater, he would be last when you mention those quarterbacks. I mean, you have 2 quarterbacks that are definitely going to the Hall of Fame, and then Matt Ryan, who's going to MVP. So, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater just simply doesn't stack up with them. But as far as, their offense, they have a lot of weapons.
John, I don't mean to cut you off. I know I am, but you said so. I just want a quick question. Do you think Matt Ryan's going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done? No?
No, he doesn't have the legacy. He has the stats, but he doesn't have the legacy.
Man, if
Eli
won a Super Bowl.
Eli has 2 Super Bowls.
Man, come on, dog.
Come on. That's all you need.
Eli, man.
That's all you need. That's all you need, Trey.
Eli's 2 rings are going to be his ticket.
You need a legacy to get into the Hall of Fame, and Matt Ryan doesn't have one currently. If he wins the Super Bowl, he'll get in.
Blowing 28-3 ain't it, Trey?
Man, Curtis Martin got to the Hall of Fame. He don't got no legacy.
But as far as the Panthers, I mean, obviously Christian McCaffrey last year, 1,000 rushing and receiving. They got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel. They brought in Joe Brady from LSU, and I don't know how the success will translate, but you saw what they did at LSU. So I think they're gonna have that spread offense, kind of similar to what the Saints run, and let Teddy Bridgewater just sit back there and pick apart defenses. And we know he's not going to turn the ball over. He may not give you the big play or take a lot of chances, but we know he's not going to turn the ball over. And Christian McCaffrey is a walk-in offense, within himself. So I do think they'll be 4th in the division, but I definitely think there'll be a tough matchup week in and week out.
Barry, what do you think as far as Teddy Bridgewater in this division?
I think the Panthers are tanking. They're trying to them and the Jaguars are positioning themselves to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. I just don't see them. I know they paid Teddy Bridgewater, but he ain't gonna be there long term. And they didn't draft him no offensive weapons. They went all defense because they lost Luke Kuechly. I just think they're gonna try to tank, man. I think Matt Rule, he's a program builder. So right now, I think he's gonna take this first year to assess what he's got, break down the program, see where they're good at, where they can build up. And I think they're gonna try to lose as many games as possible because what the best thing to do is get Trevor Lawrence, who plays in Clemson, South Carolina, and bring him to Carolina Panthers. Bring that fan base with you. Rejuvenate the fan base since you lost Cam. You got Christian McCaffrey. He gonna sell tickets. Let Trevor Lawrence sell tickets, and just see what they got. Because that's what he did at Baylor. He broke the program down, and in 2 years he built it back up. And I think that's what he's gonna do.
Guys, obviously, this whole segment we've been going from the best to the first, so let's go ahead and go with the New Orleans Saints. Darren, obviously, with you joining us on the show for the first time since the draft show, a lot has happened, and most likely with Drew Brees. Obviously, comments surfaced a while ago. I won't get your whole excerpt on that. We don't have that much time. But tell me this: will the Saints locker room respond well to Brees when the season does start?
Yes, I think they will respond well. I think you've seen the response that they are already having. There was an immediate response to what Drew said, and as should be. I'm not standing with Drew at all. I want to make that very clear. I know that you gentlemen probably have not heard my response. To be very clear, I do not stand with what Drew said. I think it was extremely ignorant and tone deaf. But like Tony said, not enough to go into that in depth. But you've seen Demario Davis come out after the fact and back his guy. Michael Thomas, the same guy who jumped and said he don't know no better. Cam Jordan said some things before, and he's come out and backed this guy. Michael Thomas came out and backed this guy as well. I think you're seeing the team bond around Drew Brees. It won't be the way it was. That made some. You ain't gonna repair that type of damage, especially seeing that I think this is Drew's last year. That's not gonna be fixed. But can it be mended enough to get through a hopefully 19, 20 game season? Yes, I do think that they can band together and try to go for one more Super Bowl run, because you see the way these guys talk about Drew. They love Drew with all their heart. And I think that a lot of them have said that their main mission is to get Drew a ring before he retires. And though Drew said something stupid, I think that they will still surround him and try to go out there and win it all.
Obviously, the biggest thing is, him being the quarterback and, the statement that was said. And, not being a black man, obviously, as his teammates, those are things that you quickly have to try to get over as the season is approaching. And it's not so black and white, but I think it's best that you educate them. But speaking of that, in this division, Darren, who could challenge the NFC? Who could challenge the New Orleans Saints to take this division?
It's a really difficult question, but I think I'm gonna give two answers. I'm gonna say the Bucs first, because I do think that they talented. I do have a lot of faith in their and their weapons. I mentioned the questions that I have about them earlier, but I do think that they will be a good team. The Falcons are somebody you can never count out, no matter what. It's like Jonathan said, that they ended the season on a 6-2 run, and two of those victories were against the two best teams in the NFC.
They're really good on defense to close out the season too.
Exactly. So their problem was it's really confusing, because at the beginning of the games in the first half of the year, they couldn't play well in the first half, and they were so far behind that they couldn't recover. Then you catch Dan Quinn was on the hot seat, and it's like they all rallied around him. They beat the 49ers, and they beat it's I'm not gonna say it's not surprising that they beat the Saints, because anything can happen in a rivalry game. Anything can happen. But when they beat the 49ers, I was genuinely shocked that they pulled that game off. And that's the question. What Falcons are we going to see? Are we going to see 1 through 8? Are we going to see 8 through 17? I don't. And that's why I have to put them in there. I have to. I don't know what you're going to get from them, but you could get greatness.
Gotcha. Trey?
I think the Falcons are going to win the division. If they can stay.
He's been giving hot takes the whole show. Okay,
I do, man.
You don't believe that?
I do believe that. If they stay healthy, they can score. They can score with New Orleans, and they can score with Tampa Bay. Their defense, if they healthy, they can stop people. They added Dante Fowler to help shore up the pass rush.
Who at corner?
Who at corner? They drafted
Damon Arnett or something. AJ Terrell. AJ Terrell.
Hey, Jamar Chase ain't in the division, so he's straight. Let him. Dan Quinn gonna teach him up, coach him up. They got if Neil can stay healthy, that's the problem. He stay hurt, and then Jones will stay hurt. I like Atlanta. Just stay healthy. The offense can carry the defense when they need to, and they can win games, man. I don't think Tampa Bay gonna make the playoffs, and eventually the Saints' magical run gonna come to an end. They done made the playoffs like 4-5 years straight. They done got beaten in the playoffs miraculously 2 times by the Vikings. So I just think the Saints, it's their time, man, not to make the playoffs.
And man, we supposed to be giving real takes, not hopes.
Hey man, they gonna make the playoffs, dog. It's real.
John, take us home, man.
Yeah, so they both took my hot take answer with the Falcons, but I really like the Falcons. Like I said, I think they're gonna win 10, 11 games. So my answer is gonna be nobody. I don't think anybody can mess with the Saints. If you look at what they got, what they've been able to do on offense with Drew Brees, incorporating Taysom Hill, obviously Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. You add Emmanuel Sanders, you still got Jared Cook. They're gonna score a lot of points. Drew Brees is gonna have that offense moving down the field. They're gonna be hard to stop. And when you look at the pieces on defense, Cameron Jordan, one of the most underrated players in the NFL, one of the best defensive ends in the NFL, Demario Davis, was up for best linebacker of the year last year. Marshawn Lattimore, when he's on, can be one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Marcus Williams, very good player at safety. So they got a lot of pieces. It's hard to beat them in that dome. They're the class of the division, obviously. I don't know if this is the year they get over the hump, but I definitely think they're going to win the division.
I think that it's like you mentioned, man. I think that they had a bunch of holes, well, not a bunch of holes. They had one glaring hole, and that was a lack of a second receiver that really came to bite them last year. And they filled that with Emmanuel Sanders. And when that was filled, the question just comes to me: where are the holes on this team? I would love Trey to answer that since they're not going to make
DB2, cornerback 2.
Norris
they don't get
the better
man,
zone.
Boy, sorry, man. Man, boy, I watched him for the last 5 years NFC East. He be getting torched.
All right. You can say what you want to say.
I love
man, he be getting torched, man.
Jack Rabbit is a good corner. I think Jack Rabbit, he ain't top 5, top 10.
Nah.
But he a good CB2. You may have seen him getting beat as back
right. Nah, all right. So who he covering Tampa Bay? Because they had two number one wide receivers.
He gonna cover Godwin.
Kyle gonna eat him for lunch, dinner, and breakfast.
I was reading an article earlier today. Jack Rabbit was the 4th best zone corner in the game, with having one of the lowest positive play rates against them in the league.
Who we covering in against Atlanta?
Now I don't know about that one. Because Calvin really is a weird receiver.
He's a weird guy. He's a weird guy.
He's a guy with a matchup problem.
I ain't no big Calvin really fan, but he gonna torch Jack Rabbit.
So everybody go towards Jack Rabbit.
Exactly. Jack Rabbit is just bottom of a shoe.
He's not gonna make no good plays.
They not gonna make no good plays.
You got receivers like that in the NFC East to be just torching Jack Rabbit.
Hey, Dez Bryant did for years.
Dez got him one time. I know the play he left him at the bus.
Dez ain't been there in 3 years.
But look, guys, we appreciate having you guys as part of this division series. Obviously, Darren, it's always good to have you part of the show. Has a really good
man. I appreciate you having me.
Most definitely. Of course, you guys will see Darren on down the road. Obviously, since Jonathan Davis, Trey Stein will be coming right up with my point exactly. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, drop us a like on YouTube, click the notification bell, get notified of everything that we're doing. Darren, tell them where you can find your podcast.
You can find my podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Point Blank, period. Y'all look it up. Y'all see my face.
Awesome. It's a new wave of sports that's sweeping the nation, not just